Welcome to Hood Champion Boxing and Sports. You know, in boxing, you can find a way to win, or you can find a way to lose. Anthony Joshua and Jake Paul. Listen. Y'all realize Anthony Joshua? Now, I was wondering, how the hell did this fight come together? Anthony Joshua and Jake Paul. Of course, I know, it's got to be driven by the financial reward on Eddie Hearn and Anthony Joshua's side. But even I was sitting here thinking to myself, why would Jake Paul put himself in the line of fire against Anthony Joshua? Because my frame of thinking is there's no way in the world Jake Paul, although he's a boxer, right? People shouldn't try to take away from Jake Paul. He is, no kidding, a boxer now. But I couldn't see him beating Anthony Joshua. I did believe that if he lands a shot on Joshua, because Joshua's chinny, it doesn't matter, Joshua will go down. When you look at the dimensions of these guys, Jake Paul shouldn't get anywhere near Anthony Joshua. And then you look at Joshua being an Olympian, two-time, heavyweight champion, 6'6", 82, 83-inch reach. Jake Paul shouldn't last. It really should be whenever Joshua gets tired of the bullshit, Joshua runs him up out of there. But let me tell you something. I don't know if you knew this. I'm just gonna share it with you, and we can go through it together. I did not know what I'm about to share with you. Now, they're saying, okay, let me make this a little bit smaller here. They're calling this the $80 million gamble when it comes to Anthony Joshua and Jake Paul. And I'm like, what the hell is this $80 million gamble they're talking about? Is Jake Paul about to end Joshua's career? So I come down and I start looking. Now, this is on boxingnews24.com. And they start to break it down where they said, the public believes, it's a little bit bigger. They believe that Anthony Joshua is putting his career at risk and the potential for future fights with the next month bout against Jake Paul. But Joshua is making $80 million. I had no idea he was making that kind of money for an 8-round contest. This man making $10 million per round, and he doesn't have to go the whole 8. But some people feel he could be throwing away his future. Now, I'm gonna tell you why, right? This is the breakdown right here. Joshua, they feel he's going to be at a disadvantage against Paul in the 8-round Netflix stream fight on December 19th in Florida. They say the problems for AJ, there is a catch weight of 245 pounds. Joshua has to lose weight for this fight to compete at that catch weight. He hasn't fought below 250 pounds since his rematch with Usyk in 22. Joshua lost that fight and looked weak. Punch resistance. At 36, Joshua's chin is effectively gone, as he showed in his knockout loss to DeBar in September 24. However, that defeat, Joshua did a good job with the help of his promoter, Eddie Hearn. Yeah, they did a good job building him up into that fight with DeBar. They did. And they were able to disguise just the fact that he didn't have the best chin. But some people feel that going up against Jake Paul, that, Jake Paul's going to land something from the gods, and AJ's just taking an unnecessary risk, although he's getting $80 million. I'm going to tell you this. The fact that he has to cut down in weight, man, it's interesting. Very interesting. He should not lose, but just imagine him going in here and all of a sudden, getting, even if he wins by knockout, if he gets hit and hurt by Jake Paul, all Jake Paul has to do is just hurt him. That's it. Jake Paul doesn't have to do anything but just hurt Anthony Joshua. And I didn't realize that there was a 245-pound catch weight. I knew they were trying to sort something out with the weight. I didn't know it was going to be 245 to where Joshua has a no kid and get in training camp, and lose weight. Anyway, I'm not saying Jake Paul's going to win. I'm just saying, man. But for 80 million, what would you do? You know what I mean? You cut the weight too, but what if Jake Paul clips him? Some people say Anthony Joshua is afraid of being hit. Now, the ball could crack. All them guys at heavyweight could crack. You listen to what people are saying about Jake Paul. They're saying Jake Paul can hit. They're saying Jake Paul in sparring, beating the shit out of professional fighters. Some of the professional fighters are fighters who have names, and Jake Paul was beating them and sitting them out of his training camp because he's like, y'all supposed to be giving me work and helping me, and I'm beating your asses. So makes you wonder, because I know 95% of people don't give Jake Paul a chance in hell, and I can understand that. But when I look at this, Joshua having to cut weight, he's focused on the money. It's supposed to be an easy fight, and then all of a sudden he gets in there, and man, what if Jake Paul just so happens to time him and hit him with something? Joshua's career, Eddie Hearn's, everything goes up in flames. Even if AJ wins, if Jake Paul can hit him and buzz him, then it's a loss for AJ. So what AJ has to do is come in there and tranquilize him. First round, first shot he throws, boom, knock Jake Paul out cold. If he doesn't do that and he goes rounds with Jake Paul, people are going to take Anthony Joshua as a joke. But we already know the secret society's in full effect, and we know that when it comes to these fights, sometimes these freak shows, behind the scenes, there are conversations saying, hey, it needs to go this way, and we need you to do this, or you not to do this. So, I mean, I wouldn't be surprised. But I was a little bit shocked to find out about that. 245 and Joshua having to really cut weight. And I don't know if there's a rehydration clause, but my understanding is Joshua, he can't come in the ring to be whatever size he wants. And I wonder how that's going to affect him if Jake Paul is able to somehow survive a couple of rounds and all of a sudden Joshua starts to look a bit tired. It's a quick turnaround for AJ to, get in the ring in December. But he's been training for the last couple of months out there with U6 trainers. So AJ should be in shape and firing on all cylinders. He should be ready to go. The worst thing for AJ is getting there with a new trainer. How many trainers he's had now? 8, 9, 10, 15? AJ be changing trainers like he changed sneakers and shit. Change his drawers. You know what I mean? Every day something new. But we'll see how he looks. I just think that's a lot. A lot of changing. But hey, he and Eddie Hearn gonna do what's best for them. But let's see how all this plays out. Anyway, y'all keep cool. Hopefully this fight doesn't, fall apart. We actually get to see these two guys in the ring, but I want to see how Joshua's legs are gonna hold up. Because I just think people are underestimating Jake Paul. I think Joshua should win. But what if this man underestimating Jake Paul and all of a sudden they're in a fight? But what if the whole thing turns out to be a joke and the joke's on us and we're looking stupid thinking we're going to get a real fight? And we don't. We get two guys who are friends sitting there robbing the bank and laughing at us. And Netflix is sitting there glad because they're benefiting too. So we just got to wait and see. But anyway, y'all keep cool. I'm in the breeze.